while most people can only fuse with one monster. He, on the other hand, can fuse with as many as 9.99 million monsters. The first monster he fused with was none other than the legendary Emperor Demon Ra, with a royal bloodline. Despite awakening such a powerful gift, he was still mocked by everyone as a useless failure, simply because the world's evaluation system was too primitive. It couldn't even begin to measure his immense potential. At that moment, his consciousness arrived in this new world, and he snapped his eyes open, still trying to get a grasp on his surroundings. A strange message suddenly popped into his mind. It turned out this world was called Blue Star, a land of martial prowess. A world that is frequently invaded by monstrous beasts through mysterious portals. These terrifying beasts have already destroyed several nations. Through long years of battle, humanity developed the Beast Gene system. By injecting the Beast Gene, you can unlock your potential and become a powerful warrior. This is the only way to save human civilization. And so, Blue Star entered an era where martial power reigned supreme. The protagonist, Ecchi, a young man who traveled here from another world, is now a warrior prep student preparing for his final exams. He lost both of his parents in an accident during his sophomore year, which shattered his motivation to study and train, leaving him at the bottom of his class. As he wondered what to do next, the teacher, with a confident stride, stepped up to the podium and said, "All right, everyone, are you ready? We're about to start the gene modification injections. Remember, everything you've worked for over the past 3 years, building strength and cultivating martial energy, is for this moment." The teacher then added, with a pointed look, "As for those who haven't taken things seriously." He couldn't help but think, this is ridiculous. I've been putting in the work. Why should I feel guilty? But since I've taken over the original owner's responsibilities, it's time to clean up his mess. The teacher then led the class to the gene injection hall, where several metal boxes were neatly arranged on a table. Inside these boxes were the gene awakening serums, which contained the raw genetic data from all the monsters. After injection, one of the monster genes will be activated. Generally, the stronger the physique, the stronger the monster gene that awakens. The teacher gently reminded, "Don't be nervous. After the injection, remain calm and accept the power. When I call your name, please come up and collect your serum." Chen Peng Fei, Miao Yunhua. One by one, the students in the class began to receive their injections. After the injections, their skin began to steam, and everyone screamed in agony for the intense pain. He hesitated for a moment, but then quickly shut his eyes and plunged the needle into his body. However, after waiting for what felt like forever, he realized that there was no excruciating pain like he had expected. There was no change at all. The teacher, noticing this, said with a hint of confusion, "Ecchi, it seems like you're not reacting." Ecchi shrugged and replied with a grin, "Teacher, did I get the fake serum or something?" At that moment, Wang Tong, who had already awakened, walked over smugly, laughing. "Look at this. It doesn't seem to have awakened at all. A warrior who hasn't awakened is like a bird without wings. Isn't that game over for you? But I guess that works out for you. You won't have to be a warrior and can just go home and wait to die." Wang Tong often bullied the weak, and seeing Ecchi's timid nature, she would pick on him every now and then. He was about to snap back, but suddenly felt his heart pounding violently. At the same time, a system interface appeared in his mind, displaying Infinite Monster Template acquired. Host, E. System rating, B. Martial Arts, 9th set of Student Chi Cultivation, Mountain Fist, Hard Qi Gong. Monster templates extracted. He quickly shouted at Wang Tong, "Move aside." But she arrogantly replied, "What's the matter? So what if you haven't awakened? Stop pretending. Leave? Why should I?" He gritted his teeth, enduring the changes within, and said softly, "If you don't leave now, it'll be too late." In the next moment, Ecchi awakened, and it was the Emperor Demon Ra bloodline ability. Wang Tong, who had been standing right in front of him, was blasted away by a powerful shockwave, crashing to the ground. Most of the other students were also thrown back by the immense shockwave, with some even vomiting from the overwhelming pressure. However, 2 students were unaffected and secretly thought to themselves, "Is there someone stronger than me?" Just then, the system interface displayed Awakened A-Class Template Emperor Demon's Wrath. Bloodline abilities: Azure Breath, Thermonuclear Pulse, Nuclear Energy Absorption. Evolution form: Emperor Demon's Wrath. Template compatibility fully unlocked. Compatibility 3%. As the system prompt echoed, his heartbeat reached its peak, and a flash of eerie blue light appeared in his eyes. He stared in disbelief at his fingers glowing with blue light, muttering, "Is this the golden finger the system gave me?" The students around him were equally shocked, whispering, "Was that really Ecchi? Did he just blast everyone away with his energy field in an instant?" Wang Tong Tong was even knocked unconscious, and she had awakened the second-tier monster, the Flame Lizard. What exactly did Ecchi awaken? Ecchi, feeling a little embarrassed, said, "I guess my awakening caused a bit of a commotion. I told them to step aside, but they didn't listen." Just then, the school's broadcast echoed. "All third-year students who have awakened, please proceed immediately to the testing hall for a gene awakening and martial arts level assessment." Repeat all. Inside the testing hall stood 10 high-tech cylindrical machines, and as each student stepped inside, the large screen on the podium would display their name, class, martial arts level, and the awakened monster gene. Li Xinyuan from our class awakened the third-tier monster bloodline of the speed blade insect. He's really lucky. He was just an average student before, but now he's number 1 in our class. Chu Zhou is definitely the top of the grade. Not only is he a level 9 martial disciple, but he also awakened the Ice Dragon, one of the top bloodlines in the 3rd tier. Looks like the valedictorian of our city will be him. Did you see what Miss Lu awakened? Holy crap, a rare 4th tier bloodline, the Ghostly Phoenix. Provincial champion. If a 4th tier monster's real form showed up, it could destroy a whole city. Warriors would be like ants in front of them. Only masters could stand a chance. Listening to their discussions, he couldn't help but feel puzzled. The monsters they awakened were classified into tiers 3 and 4, so why was his A-class? Soon, it was his turn for the bloodline assessment, and the noise in the room grew even louder. With that shockwave he just released, he might be destined to become a big shot. If he plays his cards right, he'll definitely latch onto someone powerful. The crowd watched him approach the testing machine like he was a celebrity. The crowd automatically parted, for in this world, strength was everything. His overwhelming potential had naturally earned everyone's respect. The students murmured excitedly, "It's Ecchi's turn. With the energy field he just showed, his level has to be high. What kind of bloodline can release such a powerful pressure after awakening? This guy's definitely something." Soon, his information appeared on the screen, but to everyone's surprise, only the basic details were listed. Everything else was a question mark. Class 7, Ecchi, Martial Disciple Level 3. Beast Bloodline, unknown. Laughter erupted among his classmates. Martial Disciple Level 3? My little brother in middle school could beat him. Unknown bloodline? He probably doesn't even have one. Ecchi, however, paid no attention to their mockery, because everything was going just as he expected. Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline wasn't detected, but what had show up was the prompt for the infinite monster template. While his template level was different from his classmates, it meant that as long as he met certain conditions, he could draw from an unlimited number of monster templates. Doesn't that mean he could become the king of monsters? He then went to ask the teacher for a leave of absence. The teacher frowned and asked, "What? You want to take leave to study at home and return after the exams? Do you really think I'll believe you'll go home and actually study?" He responded earnestly, "Teacher, I really want to improve. I know I've fallen behind, and I need special training. If I don't keep up with everyone, I won't make it." The teacher said seriously, "Ecchi, you know the only way to become a warrior is to go to university. I understand you've awakened your bloodline, but your foundation is too weak. You won't be able to pass the entrance exams. So, Get ready to repeat the year and come back next year. Don't rush. Ihi, excited, replied, Teacher, only by rushing can I improve. Maybe you don't understand, but now that I've awakened a powerful bloodline with hard training, I'm sure I can succeed. You see the sincerity in my eyes. I would never lie to you. The teacher was momentarily taken aback, then nodded, saying, Your eyes do seem sincere. All right, but next year you'll still have to come back and repeat the year under my supervision. After sincerely thanking the teacher, he left the school and headed for the Warrior Center in the city. On the way, he thought to himself, he had used his parents' house as collateral for 600,000, plus the compensation from their accident of over $1 million. Now he had a solid starting fund. There were two options to increase his strength. One was to improve his warrior rank. The other was to enhance the compatibility of the Emperor Demon RA template. In the information of the Infinite Monster template, it showed that each template starts with a compatibility of only 1 point, but the Emperor Demon RA has 3 points. Where did the other 2 points come from? The only answer is that the Emperor Demon RA template absorbed the power of the Gene Awakening Serum, providing an additional 2 points of compatibility. This means that in this world, Gene scientific serums can enhance template abilities, and compared to the long and grueling training of warriors, spending money to increase template compatibility is clearly more suited for him. So, he needs to hurry and buy a serum to boost his genetic power. After swiping his student ID, he walked into the Warrior Center. Since loading the Emperor Demon RA template, he had gained a unique perception ability, life magnetism. He could clearly sense the burning vital energy and the beast roars in the bloodlines of the warriors around him, like a furnace inside them. This intense life signal made his heart pound, but it wasn't fear, it was the urge to conquer. After all, the legendary Emperor Demon RA was the king of monsters in their world. Unfortunately, he was still a rookie and could only hold back the combat bloodline of Emperor Demon RA, forcing himself to endure. Once he had accumulated enough power, he would show this world what it truly means to be the king of monsters. Just then, a hand landed on his shoulder. Little one, don't peek into others' business. You must have just awakened your beast gene, right? It's normal not to be able to control your power. What brings you to the Warrior Center? A gentle older sister smiled and asked, Beautiful sister, sorry, I didn't mean to. I came to buy gene serums, but this place is so big. I can't find where to go. Could you help me with directions? The woman smiled and said, Gene serums? You want to use them at this stage. He thought there might be some taboo about it. The woman explained, It's not a big deal, but gene serums are expensive and they can easily lead to drug resistance, meaning their effectiveness will decrease over time. To maximize their effect, warriors usually wait until their bloodlines are developed to their peak before using them. He asked, How much does one gene serum cost? The woman replied, At your stage, you'll only be able to use the basic consolidation type serum, which costs about 400,000. He was shocked, thinking to himself, That's so expensive, my savings would only buy me 5 at most. He immediately asked, Do you happen to know anyone who can give me a discount? The woman handed him a business card with the name Huang Yuli, Level 4 Martial Disciple written on it. She smiled and said, Here, take my card. With an introduction from an experienced warrior, you might get a discount. He politely thanked her and then parted ways. Soon, he arrived at the Warrior Hospital and spent 1.45 million on 4 gene serums. With the remaining funds, he purchased some basic equipment and weapons. Warriors earn a lot, but they also spend heavily. This trip had turned him from a comfortable middle-class guy into someone living paycheck to paycheck. Once back home, he couldn't wait to inject the serums. As the light blue fluid entered his body, flowing through his veins and reaching his limbs, he immediately felt his blood start to boil, as if a massive beast was roaring joyously inside him. After injecting all the serums, the compatibility with the Emperor Demon RA template increased from 3% to 7%. His physique also rose from a level 8 to 15, reaching Martial Disciple level 7. So, this is what improvement feels like. Nice. But every time I injected a serum, my physique would rise by 2 points, but the last one only increased it by 1. It seems that as my body improves, further enhancements will become increasingly difficult. But this isn't bad. Just a few minutes of injections, and I've achieved what would normally take others 3 years of hard training. This is still just my normal physical condition. If I activate the power of Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline, I might just have a shot at becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exams. If even with an advantage I can't surpass those geniuses, then this boost is really underwhelming. But for now, I'll start planning for the next step, heading into the secret realm. The rifts to secret realms are divided into 6 levels, from S to E. The higher the level, the stronger the monsters inside. In an S-level secret realm, the monsters are completely uncontrollable by humans. If they invade the real world, the destruction would be catastrophic. He had entered in City's 3rd E-level secret realm. To his surprise, there were fewer people here than he expected. Perhaps it was because the secret realm had been developed for so long. After all, it was an old secret realm, and the valuable treasures had already been taken, leaving only some weak monsters for new warriors to practice on. He signed a death waiver at the entrance and received his ticket to the secret realm. Soon, he arrived at the rift. The rift was 10 meters tall and 5 meters wide, and it appeared to be a blue-gray, fluid-like substance, with sparkling white particles flashing within it. He was extremely excited about his first journey into the secret realm, thinking to himself that this was the beginning of his path to becoming the king of monsters. With that thought, he leaped and jumped right into the rift. After landing safely on the ground of the secret realm, he looked up at the sky and immediately saw 3 gigantic planets hanging above him: Kanglan Star, Onway Star, and Taijin Star. Together, they formed a magnificent trio of planets in the sky, a scene straight out of a sci-fi movie. He couldn't help but marvel. Although I had read about the appearance of the secret realm in the textbooks, experiencing it in person is something entirely different. It's truly spectacular. As he took in the otherworldly scenery, he noticed something creeping up behind him in the grass. It was a first-tier monster, the saber-toothed rabbit, known for its violent temperament and ability to hover. The moment the saber-toothed rabbit leapt, it was as fast as a bullet leaving the chamber, its sharp teeth aimed directly at his jugular. However, with Emperor Demon Ra's sensory abilities, he had already noticed the rabbit's movements. He quickly dodged, then, using his momentum, grabbed the saber-toothed rabbit by the head and crushed it with a pop. After its death, the body rapidly carbonized and turned to ash, leaving behind only a thumb-sized white monster core. He looked at the monster core and thought, white, ordinary quality. It's worth about 1,000. Not bad, though. I made 1,000 in just a few minutes. The average person works an entire month for 3 or 4,000. However, collecting too many first-tier monster cores wouldn't do him much good. It would be best if he could find a second-tier or higher monster. No sooner had he spoken than a second-tier monster, the corpse moth, suddenly burst out from the ground. He chuckled softly, thinking to himself, well, that was quick. He drew his weapon and prepared to take the initiative. With a single sword strike, he hit the corpse moth. He'd studied the monster encyclopedia before, and compared to the monster's steel-like back armor, its underbelly was clearly more vulnerable. The foul-smelling green blood shot out, splattering on the ground and leaving a corrosive mark. The corpse moth curled its body into a ball, and its blade-like insect limbs rapidly slashed toward him. He immediately used his mountain fist technique. His fist, like a cannonball, slammed into the corpse moth, and its speed faltered after the hit. The corpse moth then launched 2 side-like fangs at him. He was startled. He didn't expect the corpse moth's mandibles to be capable of firing. He narrowly avoided the attack and quickly distanced himself. With his current martial artist level, he couldn't handle this monster. After all, he lacked the powerful martial arts techniques as support. Even his deep martial energy and vitality couldn't fully activate, barely reaching half its potential. Ultimately, it was due to the original body's poor foundation. Realizing the situation, he decided to activate his cheat, The Emperor Demon's Wrath bloodline. Activate. In the next moment, his skin turned deep blue, his pupils glowing like sapphires, his arms covered in a layer of tough scales. His vitality exploded several times over, and a gust of energy stirred around him. His claws became monstrous, like those of a beast, and with one swift motion, he grabbed the corpse moth's head. His palm closed like a hydraulic press, and the corpse moth's tough shell cracked under his force. He then performed a swift sweep, and the corpse moth was immediately split open from its belly. With his physique now at a massive 21 points, facing the second-tier corpse moth was a complete walk in the park. After deactivating his transformation, his skin reverted to its normal human form, and his pores began to release heat, with steam swirling around him. Looking at the short sword he had just bought, now corroded by the corpse moth's venom, he couldn't help but feel helpless. He had spent 250,000 on this gear, and it couldn't even handle a second-tier monster? What a ripoff. The quality control was terrible. Suddenly, his stomach rumbled loudly. Realizing this was his first monster hunt, the energy expenditure was massive, and now he was starving, but he hadn't brought any food with him. Just as he was fretting about not having any food, he suddenly smelled a delicious scent. He looked at the corpse moth's green monster core, which still emitted an enticing fragrance. He suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to swallow it, sensing his body's instinctive craving. Without hesitation, he gulped the monster core down. The crystal-like hard core transformed into a soft liquid once inside him, quickly turning into a warm wave of heat, feeling like he had injected a gene serum. Every cell in his body seemed to rejoice. Furthermore, the compatibility with the Emperor Demon RA bloodline increased by 0.3%. Seeing this, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. After all, he had spent hundreds of thousands on a single gene serum, and it only boosted his compatibility by 1%, but his second-tier monster core had increased it by 0.3%. A few monster cores could be worth an entire serum. The white core dropped by the saber-toothed rabbit should at least boost his compatibility by 1%. Realizing this, he started to tear up, thinking, damn, I wasted so much money on gene serums. But then, he decided to channel that frustration into motivation. Tonight, he was on a hunt like crazy. After a moment of thought, he used his life magnetism to sense the positions of nearby monsters. The next day at noon, he walked out of the third secret realm, carrying a sack full of monster cores. As he walked, he thought to himself, once the compatibility reaches 9%, swallowing more white monster cores won't increase it anymore, so the rest will have to be sold for money. He arrived at the trading post and pulled out a total of 20 white monster cores and 4 green ones. The clerk stared at him in disbelief and asked, "No way, a high school student gathered this many monster cores?" According to government regulations, warriors must hand over 10% of their harvest. To get 1 green monster core, they had to give up 5 white ones. After selling everything, he exchanged them for nearly 200,000 Summer Kingdom coins. With 9 days left until the college entrance exam, he found himself back at City's 4th D-tier secret realm. A warrior team was already there. One team member said, "Captain Lin, this time we should be about done with the Blood Jade Flower bounty mission, right?" "Second-tier warrior Lin," he replied. "Last time we came here, we found the general location of the Blood Jade Flower, but old Chun got hurt, so he won't be joining us this time." 2 other team members expressed concern. "But we only have 5 people now? The regulations say we need at least 6 to enter a D-tier secret realm." Captain Lin pointed behind him and said, "No worries, I contacted an agency, and they introduced us to a new warrior. Are you the martial disciple level 9, Patterzilla?" He nodded, thinking to himself, because I'm still a student and can't directly enter a D-tier secret realm, I had to use a black market agent to get a fake identity to join the team. They charged me 100,000 coins for that. What a scam. Lenny looked surprised. "Patterzilla? That's an odd name." He replied flatly, "I couldn't use the original name, or I'd risk infringing copyright." Lenny sighed and said, "Well, whatever, it's just a code name. With your martial disciple level 9 status, You don't have the qualifications to enter a D-tier secret realm. Our team will give you the chance to observe and learn, but make sure you don't hold us back." Seeing his serious expression, he thought to himself, "At least he's being clear about the responsibilities before the mission. That's more reliable than someone throwing me under the bus later on." After preparing, the six-person team got into the off-road vehicle and drove straight into the rift of the secret realm. This time, as they entered the secret realm, they found themselves in a vast desert. The bounty task they were given was to find a rare secret realm plant called the Xiaoyu flower. This was their second time entering this particular secret realm. Last time, they had successfully located the general area of the blood jade flower, which was guarded by a second-tier monster with a champion-level bloodline. The off-road vehicle kicked up a long trail of dust across the desert, with sandstorms swirling all around. Sitting in the vehicle, he thought to himself, "Last time it was the rainforest, this time it's a desert. It seems that the secret realms aren't connected to just one world." Suddenly, several mole-like monsters poked their heads out from the ground. They followed the vehicle, seemingly preparing to launch an attack. One of the team members, Huda, was a man of few words. He immediately threw several crystal iron throwing darts. Each dart hit its target, striking the heads of the mole monsters with precision. The martial energy within the darts instantly seeped into their brains, shattering them. After a short while, the vehicle came to a stop near a small oasis in the desert. The blood jade flower Lin he was looking for was located in this oasis. Since the monsters in the oasis were very sensitive, the sound of the off-road vehicle's engine would give them away, so the group decided to get out and continue on foot. As the team leader, Lin he began assigning tasks. Xiao Xia, you'll release the shockwave grenade to draw the monster out. Xiao Wu and Huda, you two will set up the traps. Old Lu, you'll provide suppression fire. I'll handle the front lines. Patterzilla, you stay back and observe. He nodded, saying no problem. After the tasks were assigned, the team got to work. The shockwave grenade soared into the air, releasing a thunderous sound. At the same time, a wave of higher-tier monster energy was rapidly released, causing some of the nearby monsters to think their territory was being invaded, drawing them toward the group. Soon, a massive rumble echoed from the oasis, as if thousands of wild bulls were charging. A 10-meter-long second-tier monster, the Earth Dragon, roared as it smashed through trees and charged toward them. At this moment, Huda shouted, "New guy, watch out! The monster's coming!" The nearby team members immediately activated the traps, and a large cloud of tranquilizing gas engulfed the Earth Dragon. This special gas, made specifically for monsters, was potent enough to sedate a whale with just a small vial. Lin He, who had been waiting, leaped high, wielding his ton-heavy alloy sword. The blade cut through the air with a sharp whistle, and with a single strike, he decapitated the Earth Dragon, sending blood gushing out like a fountain. The team assumed the Earth Dragon had been dealt with. Lin He sheathed his weapon and prepared to continue the search for the blood jade fruit. However, just then, the Earth Dragon suddenly raised its massive paw and slammed it toward Lin He. Fortunately, he had been on guard, instantly reacting. He launched his full-power mountain fist technique, finishing the Earth Dragon off and saving Lin He's life. The team was shocked. They hadn't expected that He, a first-tier martial artist, could possess the strength to shake a second-tier monster. Such power earned their respect, and they no longer saw him as a liability, but as a valuable teammate. After defeating the Earth Dragon, the team found the oasis completely clear. Soon, they arrived at the center of the oasis lake, where the blood jade fruit awaited. The blood jade fruit was a rare item that only appeared under very low chances. It was said to cleanse a warrior's body and enhance their physical potential, making it highly sought after, though it rarely appeared in the market. Just as Lin he was about to celebrate, Huda from the team unexpectedly attacked with a poison dagger, stabbing it into Lin He's abdomen. The other team members exclaimed, "What's going on here?" Lin He swung his arm in a desperate move, shouting, "Huda, what the hell are you doing?" Huda quickly retreated, dodging the blow. At that moment, a bald man who looked tough as nails stepped forward, sneering, What's going on? Can't you see? He's obviously up to something that could make him rich. He was surprised that they all knew this man, Ho Peng. Xiao Wu angrily explained. Ho Peng. He specializes in robbing warriors of their loot from the secret realms. And now he set his sights on us. What a bastard. Lin He, clutching his bleeding abdomen, looked at Huda and Ho Peng in pain and anger, growling, "The blade's poisoned. Huda, you traitor. How did you know about this?" Even my teammates only learned the blood jade flower's location after entering the secret realm. At this moment, Ihi calmly said, "It was the throwing darts. You left the information on the darts." Huda sneered, "You're clever, Patterzilla, but you're still just a student, right? With the exams coming up, why aren't you studying and instead choosing to follow these scumbags on this trip?" Ihi cracked his neck and replied coldly, "Yeah, the exams are coming up, and I've got a top spot waiting for me." Ho Peng, furious at Ihi's arrogance, shot a dart straight at him. He easily caught the dart, smirking, "You're barking so loudly like a disgusting fence-sitter. Now that's arrogance, so loud, I think it's time to clean up the trash." He then crushed Huda's dart with one hand. Ho Peng, watching this, turned to Huda and said, "This kid's got some guts. Huda, I'll be taking his head." Without hesitation, Huda launched a barrage of darts at Ihi. Ihi grinned coldly, the battle intent in his eyes flaring like a wildfire. After several secret realm fights, he had long grown accustomed to the bloody struggles between warriors. Ihi quickly retreated, narrowly dodging the incoming darts. Huda seized the opportunity to get closer, spinning in the air. A sharp blade extended from his boots, and his long legs swung down like a giant axe, aiming to slice Ihi in half. He didn't dodge. He pressed his finger to his forehead, and blue energy immediately gathered at his fingertip, releasing an atomic breath. The blue beam instantly pierced through Huda's heart. As Huda's broken body fell to the ground, everyone froze for a moment, forgetting to continue the fight. Ho Peng, both surprised and furious, questioned, "Who are you? Which powerful family do you come from to be able to use gene techniques?" He coldly smiled at Ho Peng and replied, "I'm from the Emperor Demon RA family. Do you want to beg for mercy?" Ho Peng, sensing the intense killing intent emanating from Ihi, realized this situation was beyond repair. His blood surged, and the pressure of a second-tier warrior weighed heavily on everyone, leaving them gasping for air. With his bloodline activation, Ho Peng's body swelled several times in size, turning into a terrifying little giant. His massive frame and surging blood energy gave off an overwhelming sense of pressure, fully transforming him into a beast-like monster. He charged at Ihi, moving like a tank, with a blast of wind behind him. In the split second that followed, Ihi crouched low, swiftly flipping to the side to dodge. His fingers shot out again, releasing a blue particle beam aimed at Ho Peng's vulnerable ankle. Ho Peng screamed in pain, bringing both his hands together and smashing them down toward Ihi. Ihi, with his agile footwork, easily dodged the attack. Surprised, he thought to himself, "A second-tier warrior really is something else. My atomic breath couldn't even melt his ankle bones." Ho Peng then swung his arms like massive wrecking balls, closing in on Ihi, as if trying to crush him with his giant hands. However, Ihi suddenly appeared behind Ho Peng. He then unleashed his fists, charged with intense nuclear radiation, pounding one blow after another into Ho Peng's body, each punch injecting lethal nuclear material into his system. With Ho Peng's second-tier warrior body and his bloodline enhancement, he could easily withstand my punches, but he definitely couldn't handle the continuous nuclear magic attacks. Soon, the internal organs in his body began to liquefy into pus and blood. Ho Peng, writhing in agony, glared at Ihi with hatred, accusing him of using poisonous gene techniques, cursing that such evil warriors would eventually be punished. He scoffed at him and raised his fist to end his life, thinking to himself, "The number of people cursing me will only grow, but what's he really worth?" 9 days flew by in the blink of an eye, and today was one of the grandest days in the Summer Kingdom. the national college entrance exams were finally here. In front of a nationwide live broadcast, the host began speaking to the candidates, first wishing them success and then explaining the exam rules. The exam was held in a tournament-style format, taking place in the Central City Sports Arena. Students would compete in pairs, and the winners would advance to the next round, with the whole event lasting 3 days. The first 2 days were for the preliminary rounds, and only the students who advanced could participate in the third day's exam. Each student had to compete in 3 matches during the prelims, and those who made it to the finals would continue to fight until the top scorer was chosen. The host emphasized that the candidates carried the future of humanity on their shoulders, urging them to showcase their strength for themselves and for the future of mankind, before officially announcing the start of city's college entrance exams. As the host's voice faded, the candidates began to step onto the arena. On Arena 6, the match was between Ecchi and Wang Tongtong. But at that moment, Ecchi had still not arrived. The host announced that, according to the rules, if Ecchi was not present after the match began, he would be disqualified. Wang Tongtong stood on the arena, smug and satisfied, thinking to herself, "The Gene Conference made me lose face, a shame I'll carry for life. I was planning to humiliate Ecchi with my flame lizard, but that pathetic fool is hiding and won't show up. How disappointing." The audience murmured, "How pathetic. He's too scared to even show up for the exams. He's probably hiding at home, trembling. Someone like him shouldn't even be in high school. He should just go sweep the streets." At that moment, the referee blew his whistle and said, "Time's up in City First High School, Ecchi." Before the referee could finish speaking, the crowd suddenly felt a powerful presence approaching. They all looked up and were shocked to see a person in the air. What kind of immense power could allow someone to fly like that? Just as the audience below was debating, the person suddenly landed on the arena, and the immense force caused the entire platform to shake. When the dust cleared, Wang Tongtong was still confused, and the next moment, a foot was about to slam into her face. With that, Wang Tongtong was kicked off the stage. He watched Wang Tongtong fly off and muttered, "That was close. Almost had to come back next year." As Wang Tongtong was knocked out of the arena, unconscious, the host loudly announced, "Ecchi wins." Ecchi scoffed, saying, "That's it? This was too easy." The audience couldn't believe it, shouting, "Ecchi is seriously strong." One kick and his opponent was done. The way he entered was so cool. Is this what they call a kick from the heavens? At that moment, the system displayed, Ecchi's total physique is 226, and his compatibility is 20%. He proudly said, "As a thank you, Captain Lin gave me the blood jade fruit. It took some time to improve my physique, but now you're about to see some real action." After defeating Wang Tongtong, he continued to battle the others. 3 matches, 3 wins. Each one ended with a single kick, no hesitation. The audience went wild, shouting, "Ecchi is like one kick man." As expected, the host announced, Ecchi from City First High School, 3 wins in a row, advancing to the 3rd round. Down in the stands, a crowd gathered around Ecchi, asking for his contact information. Some are recommending their own schools, and a reporter asked, "Ecchi, do you have a dream university in mind?" Upon hearing the question, Ecchi's eyes flashed, and he confidently replied, "Sorry, I'm aiming for Huadu University." Hearing this, the crowd around Ecchi suddenly scattered. Ecchi sighed, saying, "What? You don't believe me? But I can't blame them. Huadu University is the best martial arts college in the Summer Kingdom, one of the top 5 in the world, a holy land for all warriors. Cities like in City only allow the top students to enter that sacred place. But it's fine. Martial artists are judged by their strength. Once I'm the top scorer, we'll see what they say." At that moment, the examiner noticed Ecchi's performance and approached him, asking for a retest of his martial artist level. After a quick scan, the examiner was shocked and exclaimed, "Just half a month ago, Ecchi was a martial disciple level 3, but now he had reached level 9. Upon further investigation, they found that Ecchi had frequently visited E-tier secret realms after leaving school. So they asked him why he ventured into such dangerous places right before the college entrance exams. He casually explained, "It's to settle myself. My father left me a message before he passed. He said that to surpass humanity, you have to stop being human. So I've been going to secret realms, battling and breaking through my genetic locks." The examiner froze when he heard he mentioned breaking his genetic lock and immediately said, "I need to report this right away." After that, the examiner rushed off. He couldn't help but feel like he had somehow become a subject of intense scrutiny. On the day of the tournament, he stepped onto the arena once again. This time, his opponent was Luo Xian from city's third high. He was a martial disciple level 8 with the bloodline of a rare second-tier monster, and both of his parents were warriors. He looked at Luo Xian with boredom and motioned for him to make the first move. Luo Xian, feeling belittled, couldn't help but feel some anger rising within him. He immediately activated his bloodline and used his martial skill, Thunderclap Claw, accelerating to top speed. His heart beat like a supercar engine, and as he ran, his body accelerated again and again. His sharp claws slashed toward He's throat, and the finely honed martial skill cut through the air, creating sparks and a sonic boom. If it hit, even a martial disciple level 9 would be killed. However, he never expected that. As his arm came near, he effortlessly grabbed it. He casually commented, "Nice energy, but it's nowhere near that bald guy's charge." Without hesitation, he delivered a palm strike to Luo Xian's head. The immense force knocked Luo Xian out cold right on the spot. He then arrogantly said, "Are there no decent contestants?" The host quickly announced, another victory with one strike, and this time, he defeated the seed player, Luo Xian. Dozens of high-speed cameras focused on He, capturing shots from every angle, and the live broadcast was buzzing. Viewers couldn't stop talking, some in awe, saying Luo Xian looked so fierce, and in the blink of an eye, he's on the ground. He's strength is on a whole different level compared to the other candidates. In this martial arts-driven era, He's overwhelming display of power stirred the passion of everyone watching. Chu Zhou watched as Luo Xian was carried off the stage by medics, his eyes filled with fierce determination, and he instinctively clenched his fists. As expected, "You're the one I've been rooting for. I'll definitely defeat you in the finals." The head of the Huada University admissions office, having watched He's impressive performance through the live broadcast, demanded to have all of his information within half an hour. Just after he finished his match, the second group of the qualifiers was already in full swing. This match was even more heated than his, as both competitors were top-tier beauties with larger followings, making it even more of a spectacle. One of them was Kai Shaoling from City Second High, a petite girl with an incredibly sexy figure. She flipped her long golden pigtails, giving Lu Qingzhu a provocative look, and remarked that she hated the robotic expression of Lu's family's young lady. Lu Qingzhu didn't respond. Instead, she simply bowed slightly and greeted her, her face expressionless, as if she didn't take Kai Shaoling's challenge seriously at all. The referee blew the whistle, signaling the start of the match. With the aura of a martial disciple level 9, Kai Shaoling instantly appeared in front of Lu Qingzhu, sweeping a kick towards Lu Qingzhu's neck, threatening to slam her to the ground. Lu Qingzhu still made no move, lightly waving her palms, causing the air around her to thicken, becoming as viscous as a swamp under the influence of her martial technique. When Kai Shaoling's kick met the air in front of Lu Qingzhu, she felt as though her leg, which could tear through military-grade steel, had instead sunk into soft cotton. Under the diminishing effects, even the high-speed cameras could only capture Kai Shaoling's white leg moving in slow motion, visibly decelerating. Kai Shaoling, furious at Lu Qingzhu's immovable expression, intensified her attack. She cloaked her body in martial energy, minimizing air resistance, and blurred her form into a shadow as she circled Lu Qingzhu, waiting for the right moment to strike a palm to Lu Qingzhu's side. But as her palm neared Lu Qingzhu's waist by just 3 inches, it suddenly couldn't get any closer. Realizing she had fallen into a trap, Kai Shaoling tried to retract her hand, but the air in front of her exploded with unimaginable suction, preventing her from pulling back. At that moment, Lu Qingzhu made her first move, extending her slender fingers, which now shimmered with a jade-like light. The warriors watching the live stream had their eyes widen as they recognized the move, the Hunyuan jade finger from the Xian Huang martial technique. To see a student about to take the high school entrance exams mastering the Xian Huang technique was astonishing. Such martial talent didn't need to be proven through exams. This alone could guarantee a direct admission to Huadu University. Standing closest to Lu Qingzhu, Kai Shaoling could feel the terrifying energy from the jade finger, realizing that if she didn't pull out her trump card now, it would be her last chance. Without hesitation, she activated her bloodline, Shadow, Tiger King. A massive shockwave exploded from her body, shattering the air around her. Lu Qingzhu, however, didn't choose to withstand the blow. She lightly tapped the ground with her foot, her body swiftly sliding a dozen meters to create some distance. The examiners in the stands held their breath, eyes fixed on Kai Shaoling, amazed. A king-level bloodline is hard to control, and the Shadow Tiger King is known for its brutal power. This girl's future is boundless. The awakening of the Shadow Tiger King's bloodline placed a heavy burden on Kai Shaoling's body. She exhaled hot air and struggled to speak to Lu Qingzhu, challenging her to display the Phantom Crow bloodline. Lu Qingzhu, ever the woman of few words, spoke her first line since the battle began. "This is enough." Kai Shaoling, completely enraged, shouted, "Do you think anyone below a warrior can challenge me?" Her body moved like a vicious tiger, her fierce blood energy coiling into a torrent behind her, her palms slashing through the air toward Lu Qingzhu. Facing the brutal strike, Lu Qingzhu softened the blow with grace, her hands moving like she was playing a piano, the invisible threads of her technique gradually reducing Kai Shaoling's force until it disappeared entirely. Kai Shaoling's attack failed, and she immediately drew on her immense blood energy, dispelling the invisible threads around Lu Qingzhu. With her small body in midair, she kicked again. Seeing this, Lu Qingzhu activated the Xian Huang technique once more, Hunyuan jade finger. The jade-colored tip of her finger collided with Kai Shaoling's fierce kick, and the two powerful techniques clashed, shattering the specially made arena beneath their feet. The arena erupted in a cloud of dust. Tens of thousands of spectators watched with bated breath, waiting for the final victor. As the dust cleared, Kai Shaoling was the first to appear. She was covered in blood, stumbling a few steps before collapsing to the ground from exhaustion. Lu Qingzhu, however, stood like an ethereal fairy, her hair slightly disheveled but otherwise pristine and composed. With just his martial skills, he completely dominated Kai Shaoling, who also had a martial disciple level 9 and a king level bloodline. Lu Qingzhu's powerful display instantly exploded the live broadcast room. Viewers were amazed by Lu Qingzhu's strength. Some even claimed she was the top scorer from its city, while others leaked that Lu Qingzhu had awakened the fourth-tier bloodline of the Phantom Crow, a talent so rare that most warriors would be unable to defeat her. After Lu Qingzhu's battle, the rest of the matches, though still exciting, seemed dull in comparison. After several rounds of elimination, the final 8 were decided. From in City First High, there were me and Lu Qingzhu, 3 from Chuzhou, 2 from in City Second High, and 3 from in City Qingfeng Private High. The finals of the top 8 were about to begin, and Yi stepped up first to draw lots. He drew in A. A 2-meter-tall, muscular giant glanced at him and revealed his own draw, which was also A. "Looks like we're set to face off." His name was Shun Guan, from Qingfeng Private High. He nodded and introduced himself. Shun Guan said we were the second match, so let's watch the first match first. He looked simple and straightforward, with hands as big as fans, pointing toward the big screen above the arena. The first match was Luo Shi from Qingfeng Private High versus Chuzhou from City First High. Shun Guan casually started chatting with Yi, saying that Luo Shi was incredibly talented, a repeat student who was specifically aiming for Huada University this year. He had great mastery over his bloodline awakening, but still stood no chance against Chu Zhou. Chu Zhou, right? He's from your school, in City First High. You must know him? At that moment, the host announced the first match of the top 8 qualifiers. Chu Zhou from City First High wins. The principal of Qingfeng Private High heard news and angrily said, "Damn, they lost right at the start." At this point, he asked, "How does Luo Shi compare to you?" Shen Guan grinned and said, "I'm a martial arts president at Qingfeng Private High, level 3. Honestly, my 2 teammates combined couldn't even match me." Then he suddenly turned his gaze toward Yi He and said, "But to be honest, I think you're my biggest rival in this exam. I've always had an extremely sensitive sense. I can feel that you're like a dormant volcano with a beast hidden inside you. Let's go. It's our turn." With that, Yi and Shen Guan walked toward the arena. The host announced the second match of the top 8 qualifiers. Shen Guan from Qingfeng Private High versus Yi from City First High. The quarterfinals of the Onqing Combat Trials, a high-stakes battle for elite university selection, were reaching a fever pitch. At the sound of the referee's call, Yi and Shen Guan lunged at each other, fists exploding forward like thunderclaps. Their blows collided midair, unleashing a shockwave that echoed like a detonation, the very air trembling from the force. Blood trickled from Shen Guan's nose, yet he grinned with manic delight. Nosebleed? Is that the manifestation of your bloodline power? Fascinating. A golden aura surged around his body, forming a shimmering shield of battle energy that blocked out the surrounding radiation. "So, Yi, this is the extent of your strength." Yi didn't respond, but a blazing light ignited in his eyes, the calm before a storm. Shen Guan let out a snort and stomped forward, the floor cracking beneath him. Then witnessed the legacy of the Shun family, our ancestral art, form intent fist. Antler strike, his fist thrust out like a charging stag's horns, sharp and unstoppable. The speed of the technique was blinding, faster than the eye could follow. In an instant, a devastating blow landed squarely on Yi's chest. He let out a gasp, blood spraying from his mouth. His body was flung dozens of meters back, crashing hard at the edge of the arena. Shen Guan didn't let up. Bare rotation. His massive frame seemed to swell even further, then hurled himself forward like a collapsing mountain, aiming to crush Yi beneath sheer brute force. Facing Shen Guan's avalanche-like assault, Yi crossed his arms to block. The moment they clashed, the arena floor cracked and collapsed under the pressure of their collision. In a sudden feint, Shen Guan retracted his fist, and with a blur of movement, appeared behind Yi in an instant. Grabbing him by the waist, Shen Guan roared and hurled him skyward with raw explosive force. Dropping into a crouch like a stalking beast, Shen Guan's face twisted into a predator's snarl as he let out a guttural growl, like a tiger about to strike. He launched himself upward, intercepting Yi mid-air in a full force tackle. As they collided, his form shifted again, like an eagle dive-bombing from the clouds, slicing through the air with 3 visible shockwaves. Yi slammed into the ground like a meteor, cratering deep into the earth as dust exploded outward. The relentless combo left Yi overwhelmed, with no room to retaliate. Landing with a flourish, Shen Guan crossed his arms and laughed heartily. Now that was satisfying. On the sidelines, medics prepared to rush in. After that brutal form-intent fist combo, even a veteran fighter would be half dead. But suddenly, Shen Guan froze, a chill crawling up his spine. He felt it, like standing before an ancient monster. His instincts screamed at him to retreat. From his settling dust, a massive, scale-covered arm emerged. Then Yi stepped forward, transformed, his body now towering, monstrous like a humanoid Godzilla. His voice rumbled low and powerful. "You're strong. That's why you get the honor of witnessing this form first." Shen Guan's pupils dilated in disbelief. He stood frozen, stunned by what he was witnessing. Beast form manifestation. Your bloodline awakening reached that level. The beast form, an ultimate transformation that only those who have fully mastered their bloodline can attain. It unleashes the true might of the ancient beast slumbering within. He had never imagined that in this remote city of Anqing, there was another prodigy who could rival the likes of Lu Qingzhu. As Yi's monstrous form stabilized, a blaring alarm erupted from the energy monitors beside the proctors. These devices could track the fluctuations of awakened combatants in real time. Radiation levels spiked to catastrophic levels, completely maxing out the instruments. The proctors, eyes narrowed, quickly released dense energy barriers to contain the surging power. The crowd gasped, then exploded with excitement. Did you see that? This is Yi's awakened form? What kind of bloodline is that? Anyone know? I'm from First Academy. They say his bloodline's classified as unknown, but how can that be unknown? Yi glanced around as he heard the murmurs. So, this world didn't know about the Imperial Megalithon. That meant no one here could recognize the bloodline he had awakened. Meanwhile, Shunguan's nose began to bleed again. The radiation now surpassed what his energy shield could handle. He clenched his fists, realizing he had to finish this fast. With a roar, Shunguan triggered his own awakening. A blinding aura surged from his core, golden patterns arcing through the air like lightning. One of the proctors muttered in awe, "That's the Golden Simian King bloodline, a Tier 3 royal strain. What is going on in this city?" A golden radiance surged across Shunguan's body. With a deafening roar, his frame expanded to nearly 3 meters tall, towering like a gilded war god at the center of the ring. He launched a devastating punch, the motion fluid and serpentine. This was Serpent Strike, a deadly move from his inherited martial art, Form Intent Fist. He responded instantly, stepping forward with mountain-breaking fist. The technique appeared simple, but the sheer force behind it was terrifying, like a landslide hurtling toward its target. Their fists collided with a thunderous impact, the air exploding between them in a violent shockwave that pushed spectators back. Power-wise, Yi's awakened form had completely surpassed Shunguan. Shunguan was blasted backward, and even his golden hide, said to deflect bullets, cracked under the pressure, blood seeping through. Were it not for his last-second energy redirection, his entire arm would have shattered on the spot. It was the first time Shunguan found himself overpowered in a direct clash. But rather than back off, he charged in again. His arms twisted like twin serpents, coiling around Yi in an attempt to hurl him through the air. But he might as well have tried to lift a mountain. Yi remained immovable. Changing tactics, Shunguan crouched low, muscles coiling tight like a loaded spring. With explosive force, he launched upward, legs tearing into the ground. Then came Elephant Stomp, another Form Intent technique. Boom! The impact rocked the entire arena. Shockwaves shattered the stage's surface as if an earthquake had hit dead center. As the dust cleared, every spectator stared at the arena in stunned silence. The beastly figure, still standing tall, hadn't budged an inch. "Now it's my turn." Yi's voice was low and steady as he pulled his embedded leg from the cracked floor. Blue energy rippled around his fist, distorting the air with intense heat, as if the very atmosphere was ready to combust. But just as he was about to strike, Shunguan suddenly dropped to his knees with a loud thud. "Yi, I surrender." Yi froze mid-step, visibly confused. Wait, what? The surging energy he'd been building had to be pulled back. According to the rules, he couldn't attack once his opponent officially conceded. The dark blue scales faded away as Yi returned to his normal form, the transformation fully undone. "Victory goes to Yi," the referee announced. Meanwhile, the live stream chat exploded. In a world where strength was everything, a climactic battle had just ended. With a surrender, Yi became an overnight sensation. His follower count skyrocketed in real time. Highlight clips like the monster who made his rival kneel and one punch to godhood spread like wildfire across social media. Comments poured in. Yi is this year's #1. No contest. Forget Lu Qingzhu. He's on another level. Back at Qingfeng Private Academy, the principal's face darkened as he clenched his fists. Luo, she failed, and I invested everything in Shunguan. He glared at Shunguan as he walked off the stage, shouting, "You surrendered? Do you know how much money we pumped into you? Ungrateful brat. You're not stepping into any university until you pay us back." The principal barely finished his sentence when Shunguan calmly placed a hand on his shoulder. Though the gesture was light, Principal Qingfeng suddenly felt a cold chill run through his entire body. Shunguan's gaze was steady, his voice sharp as steel. "I couldn't take that last punch. Had I tried, I would have damaged my foundation. I conceded for my own good. If you think that's cowardice, then why don't you go take that hit?" He stepped closer. "As for your academy's investment in me, I'll repay it. But don't forget, you can't threaten someone stronger than you." The principal swallowed hard, voice trembling. "All right, why you make a good point." With the second match over, the tournament moved forward swiftly. Of the final 4 contenders, 3 hailed from Onqing First Academy. Only 1 came from Second Academy. But the Second Academy student had been completely overshadowed. The crowd barely noticed him, turning him into a forgotten extra. Meanwhile, the First Academy's headmaster was grinning ear to ear. The semi-final draw began. He stepped forward first, unfolding his slip. Just as he turned to leave, he felt a gaze pierce through the crowd. Looking up, he locked eyes with a girl whose pupils gleamed like obsidian, Lu Qingzhu. In her hand was an A as well. Semifinals match 1. E versus Lu Qingzhu, Onqing First Academy's ultimate showdown. The stadium erupted, and the live stream went nuclear. Holy crap, we finally get to see it. Onqing's most anticipated clash in entrance exam history. Smash her, bro. No way. Lu Qingzhu's the real deal. She's mastered 2 Xianhuang tier techniques and demolished a tier 3 royal bloodline candidate. And she hasn't even revealed her full bloodline potential yet. Don't forget, Shunguan was a tier 3 royal too. He had to awaken mid-battle to beat him. Lu's got tier 4 blood and high-level martial mastery. This might be Yi's biggest challenge yet. Agreed, makes sense. Nah, he's got this. The internet was ablaze with debate. Who was stronger, Yi or Lu Qingzhu? But they wouldn't have to argue much longer. The semifinals of Onqing First Academy had officially begun. Yi versus Lu Qingzhu. The moment the referee gave the signal, white mist surged around Yi like a storm, his aura boiling over as he instantly entered his awakened bloodline state. The power rolling off him bent the very air around the arena. But Lu Qingzhu wasn't phased. Her martial techniques weren't just powerful. They were unconventional, elusive, and nearly untouchable. Brute strength alone wouldn't be enough to land a blow on her. What made her even more dangerous was her strategic mind. He knew, if the fight dragged on, he'd be at a disadvantage. So, he made his choice, go all out from the first move. Lu Qingzhu remained expressionless, her voice as calm and cold as steel. She met Yi's blazing gaze and said, "Yi, I hope you're strong enough to make me take this seriously." Suddenly, Yi released a large amount of steam, enveloping the entire arena. The audience below was instantly confused, with a mist clouding everything. They couldn't see what was happening. The host immediately added fuel to the fire. The genius of the Lu family, Lu Qingzhu, faces the dark horse of this year's competition, Yi. How will she respond? Let's wait and see. Could this be Yi's bloodline awakening? Yi kept his eyes locked on the silhouette of Lu Qingzhu through the smoke, knowing that he couldn't afford to be careless. Lu Qingzhu's martial skills far surpassed his own, and with her mysterious techniques, no matter how powerful his strength, it would be difficult to harm her. This martial genius also had an exceptionally high battle IQ. The longer the battle went on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him, so he had to go all out from the start. One blow to end the fight, no second chances. A tremendous amount of energy gathered in Yi's right fist as he launched his mountain-blocking fist. Lu Qingzhu didn't expect Ihi to come at her so aggressively. She quickly crossed her arms, channeling her martial energy for defense. But Ihi's speed was so fast that he left a series of afterimages in front of her. Then, Ihi suddenly swept a powerful kick toward her. The audience was discussing it. Did he just use a deceptive trick? Lu Qingzhu was speechless. This guy really said he was using his fists, but in reality, he was using his steel whip. At that moment, Ihi shouted, swinging his fist and appearing directly above Lu Qingzhu, his eyes glowing with intense energy. The audience was no longer calm, and they murmured, "Poor Lu Qingzhu, despicable Ihi, using such tricks, showing no martial virtue." In martial combat, one must never hesitate to use tactics. Lu Qingzhu could only once again cross her arms to defend herself. The audience couldn't help but hold their breath for her. Oh no, Lu Qingzhu's rhythm was completely disrupted by that move. Now wasn't the time to show mercy. He kept attacking with one strike after another, not giving her a chance to retaliate, hitting her like a punching bag. The audience saw clearly that Ihi's pursuit was too fierce. Lu Qingzhu had no chance to escape. But what happened next left them even more confused. He actually used his martial energy to push Lu Qingzhu back. Didn't that give her a chance to counterattack? But the next second, what awaited her was the claw of the Imperial Magic Beast. He wasn't foolish. How could he make such a mistake? With a flash, a powerful wind blade swept toward Lu Qingzhu, showing no mercy. Lu Qingzhu widened her eyes. This move was a palm strike embedded with martial energy. She quickly leapt into the air, elegantly dodging, moving like an angel. Then came a loud crash as the claws collided with her defensive barrier. He appeared once more above her, flashing an evil grin, his hands swirling with immense power. "Lu, don't run away." Then came a storm of ferocious attacks, like a torrential rain. Lu Qingzhu was starting to question her own life. How could he not be tired from such a high-intensity attack? His stamina was incredible. She couldn't help but envy him. As for herself, she had mastered two powerful techniques of the Xianyellow martial arts. One was a defensive secret technique from the Lu family, illusory shadow of floating flowers. And the other was an offensive technique, mixed Yuan Jade Finger. If she could use either of them, she could break free from Ihi's relentless attacks. Unfortunately, Yi didn't give her any chance. If this continued, Lu Qingzhu would soon be knocked off the stage by Ihi. With no way out, Lu Qingzhu decided to stop hiding. Suddenly, a feather appeared on her fist. Ihi's eyes narrowed upon seeing this. "Finally going to use your trump card?" A long cry echoed throughout the arena, signaling the awakening of the bloodline, the Netherworld Sparrow. A humanoid bird soared into the air. Its purple wings flapped as pieces of feather floated down. This was the bloodline awakening. Lu Qingzhu was revealing her magical beast bloodline for the first time, the Netherworld Sparrow. "Ihi, you'd better be careful. I can't control my power in this form." He grinned at this, knowing this was exactly what he'd been waiting for. After all, he didn't want to unleash too much power and destroy her, as until now, he had only used about 50% of his strength. Now he would go all out. However, in the next second, Lu Qingzhu appeared behind Ihi. She had actually used the Xianyellow martial arts technique, mixed Yuan Jade Finger, in her bloodline awakened state. He wasn't to be outdone. His bloodline from the Imperial Magic Beast stirred excitement in him. He roared and launched an atomic explosion fist, a tremendous boom resounding. A massive shockwave exploded behind them, shaking the entire arena. The audience gasped, "So strong, so intense. I can't open my eyes." Lu Qingzhu also let out a gasp. Her eyes widened, and a bead of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. Both of them seemed unharmed, but behind Ihi, strong currents of electricity were still flickering, and the ground cracked like a spider's web. Ihi's body began to change, with pieces of dark blue scales gradually covering his face, his mouth now brimming with destructive energy. Lu Qingzhu felt an overwhelming sense of danger and thought to herself, "What's happening?" Ihi's beast form seemed to be gathering power. The spine on his back raised, seemingly accumulating immense energy. This energy slowly transferred into Ihi's mouth until his entire back spine shone with blue light. In that instant, Ihi unleashed a beam of atomic energy, radiating an aura of destruction. Lu Qingzhu saw the powerful attack heading toward her and decisively folded her wings, tightly wrapping herself up. The next second, the terrifying wave of energy engulfed her in an instant. The bloodline power of the Nether Phoenix was activated by Lu Qingzhu in this life-or-death moment. Countless black feathers flickered, reflecting light like crystals as the blue particle beams collided with the purple-black feathers. It was as if they were reflected by mirrors, with a thick, concentrated beam of light being refracted into several smaller beams by the feathers. The light radiated outward from the black sphere that Lu Qingzhu had turned into, reflecting in all directions. Just as it seemed the light was about to shoot off the arena, the examiners tried to stop it, but they were too late. At that moment, a golden weapon enveloped the entire arena. All the light beams heading toward the outside of the arena vanished the instant they touched the golden martial energy, as though they were absorbed and disappeared without a trace. It was the mayor of Anqing, Huang Qing. The examiners tried to greet the mayor, but he raised his hand to signal them not to bother, saying softly, "Watch closely. Today, the strongest top student in Anqing's history will be born." About 15 seconds later, the atomic exhale ended, and Lu Qingzhu spat out a mouthful of blood. Her two purple-black wings, after reflecting the atomic exhale to the extreme, were now melted and in tatters. Had it not been for her timely use of the martial energy floating Hua transformation, redirecting the remaining energy to the surroundings, she might not have been able to withstand Ihi's attack. Since her birth, she had been heavily burdened with the expectations of the Lu family. Under the family's pressure, she had no choice but to build the reputation of the Lu family's eldest daughter in battle after battle. While others praised her genius and strength, she was not interested in these titles. Perhaps even she didn't know why she fought. In fact, she didn't want to fight at all. Competing with others felt utterly meaningless to her. She simply followed her mother's wishes, moving forward silently, exhausted. He is truly strong. Facing such a strong opponent, it's only natural that Lu Qingzhu lost the match. She made this mistake. You should be able to seize it, quickly finish me off. Lu Qingzhu thought to herself, gently tapping her foot on the ground and striking Ihi with a palm. However, Ihi made no move, standing still, taking her blow head on. Lu Qingzhu's beautiful eyes widened in confusion. "Why aren't you dodging?" Ihi raised an eyebrow. Looking at her, "Lu Qingzhu, what happened to your fighting spirit? From the start of the fight, I could tell you weren't fully invested. Have you even taken me seriously? I intend to win this fairly, so give me your full attention." With that, Ihi swung his arm, sending a gust of wind towards Lu Qingzhu's face. Lu Qingzhu was hit by the punch and flew backward. Ihi quickly closed in, landing on her, his fists swinging wildly, continuing to hammer her face with powerful blows. Lu Qingzhu raised her arms to protect her head, looking utterly disheveled. She thought to herself that she had never been treated like this before. Now, in front of hundreds of thousands of live-stream viewers, she was being crushed to the ground and violently beaten. She had planned to give up victory to him, so why was he still relentlessly chasing her? "Don't hit my face, you bastard!" Lu Qingzhu's eyes turned red with fury, and she shouted, unleashing her full power to send Ihi flying. Ihi's eyes gleamed with fiery battle intent, expecting just this. If you don't want to get hit in the face, then fight seriously. Ashes swirled in the air as a pair of giant purple-black wings spread out, stirring up a storm. Lu Qingzhu's delicate face bore strange, otherworldly patterns. While her back sprouted what looked like a yellow robe-like tail feather, the power of her chirp sword echoing across the battlefield as she transformed into her beast form. After entering her beast form, Lu Qingzhu appeared cold and confident. "Ihi, as you wished, I will defeat you with my strongest form." A massive pair of violet-black wings suddenly burst open in midair, stirring up a raging storm. Mysterious markings spread across Lu Qingzhu's flawless face, while her regal tail feathers fluttered behind her like a royal cloak. From deep within her, a piercing avian cry echoed in all directions. He grinned. Finally showing your beast form? Now, this is getting fun. Not to be outdone, he unleashed his full power, his body wrapped in glowing blue energy, each weapon radiating atomic force, turning him into a walking reactor of destruction. This was his fusion of the Godzilla battle template with hardened martial arts, a technique known as nuclear radiance mode. With a deafening blast, the ground beneath him exploded, launching He like a missile straight toward Lu Qingzhu. Let's make this a real fight. Lu Qingzhu didn't flinch. Her wings snapped wide, drawing in the surrounding air currents. She summoned a funnel-shaped storm laced with ghostly energy that could devour all it touched. The entire arena was swallowed in a spiraling hurricane as it roared toward He. He didn't flinch for a second. He launched himself like a torpedo straight into the ghostly hurricane. The instant he entered, a massive atomic detonation erupted in a burst of blue light, tearing through the storm. He surged forward with unstoppable momentum, heading right for Lu Qingzhu. Her face changed. Those eerie patterns shifted to a deep crimson purple. She let out a piercing cry, unleashing her bloodline ability, Spectral Avian Howl. The sonic wave distorted the air itself, spreading like a shockwave across the entire arena. He was instantly engulfed by the blast. His atomic armor flickered violently, nearly extinguished by the deadly frequencies. If not for his high-tier Godzilla-based lineage, that spectral screech might have torn him apart from the inside. But hey, two can play that game. You think you're the only one who can scream? The vertebrae along his spine lit up one by one. Atomic power surged through his body as he activated his ultimate move, Atomic Breath, full output mode. Determination flashed in Lu Qingzhu's eyes. She gave up all defense and poured every ounce of strength into offense. She refused to lose. This battle would have a winner. She unleashed her ultimate technique, Jade Core Strike, fused with her bloodline's secret art, Spectral Blood Lance. A brilliant column of blue energy roared toward her like a divine judgment from the heavens. At the same time, she pointed her glowing jade fingertip forward, condensing the crimson-purple energy of destruction. With her wings beating furiously behind her, she slashed forward, cutting directly into the oncoming atomic beam. The two devastating forces collided midair, unleashing a cataclysmic explosion. Waves of raw energy surged across the arena, shaking the very sky. The host let out a panicked scream. This isn't good. That kind of power, it's way beyond what two junior fighters can control. Outside the arena, the city mayor's expression darkened. He moved instantly. Either of these monstrous prodigies getting hurt would be a massive loss for the entire city, even the whole Federation. Gene Tree, Earth Pulse Barrier. As he shouted, the ground rumbled violently. 3 massive stone walls, infused with his battle aura, erupted from the earth, slamming down between the colliding attacks. But just moments later, those thick stone barriers were obliterated. A blinding white flash swallowed the arena whole. The crowd erupted in chaos. That explosion was insane. Wasn't that the mayor's wall just now? Yeah, Mayor Ma tried to stop the clash. If he hadn't stepped in, we might have been caught in the blast too. The mayor stood at the edge of the smoke-choked arena, his face grim. He had reacted quickly, deploying 3 Earth Pulse walls to blunt the force of the impact. But he hadn't had enough time. The walls were still forming when they were torn apart, leaving nothing to stop the full brunt of the collision. Who could have predicted that this year's entrance trials would produce not one, but 2 freakishly powerful candidates? If either of them was seriously injured, resignation wouldn't even begin to make up for it. Here, in this land, a martial prodigy held sway over the hearts of the people more fiercely than any celebrity ever could. At the center of the arena, Lu Qingzhu was once again gravely injured. Blood streamed down her arm. She dropped to one knee, her other arm badly scorched. Her once proud form now looked battered and broken. The power of her beast form had completely faded, but she refused to give up. She could still fight. That's when he stepped in front of her. He stood tall, completely unharmed. Not a scratch on him. The contrast was brutal. Lu Qingzhu was shaken. She knew her final blow had landed. Why did it seem like he hadn't felt a thing? He looked down at her and casually said, "If you don't get that nuclear radiation out of your system soon, you're done for." Lu Qingzhu froze, then let out a choked sound on the verge of tears. The injustice was overwhelming. "I never wanted to fight you this hard. Why did you keep pushing me? This is bullying." He knelt down, looking her dead in the eyes. "Do you really hate fighting? Or are you just too stubborn to admit you wanted to win? I could feel it in that last desperate attack. You were hungry for victory." Lu Qingzhu couldn't argue. He was right. In that moment, she had wanted to win. That desire had made her drop her guard and go all in. But what was happening to her? She'd always hated fighting. She wanted to lose quickly, didn't she? And yet, during that final clash, she felt something else. Something raw and exhilarating. That rush of fighting not for anyone else, but just for herself. He gently placed a hand on Lu Qingzhu's shoulder. "You lost, because your mind was too clouded during the fight." Then, without hesitation, he absorbed the lingering nuclear radiation from her body. Lu Qingzhu looked down. The radiation and the wounds on her arm were rapidly healing. He looked her in the eye and said earnestly, "Even so, you're still the strongest opponent I've ever faced. If there's ever another chance, I'd love to fight you again. No distractions, just a pure battle." Lu Qingzhu. Her cheeks flushed red at his words. Just then, the smoke over the arena finally cleared. Every camera zoomed in on the center stage. The host shouted excitedly, He's still standing. The first semifinal match is over. He of Anqing First High takes the win." Shortly after, Chu Zhou claimed victory in his match as well. The final showdown of the Anqing trials, the champions' duel, was about to begin. The host's voice boomed. "The final battle is set. He of Anqing First High versus Chu Zhou, also of Anqing First High." The livestream viewership surged, nearing 500 million. The grand finale of the Anqing tournament was underway. As a referee gave the signal, Chu Zhou stood ready, pressing his palms together. A chilling longsword slowly formed in his hands, forged from pure bloodline power. Cryoblade manifestation. He grinned. "Come at me." He may have just defeated the mighty Lu Qingzhu, but he wasn't about to let his guard down now. After all, Chu Zhou's battle intellect might just be the highest among all candidates this year. Chu Zhou's eyes sharpened. He stepped forward, activating the 7-star movement. His body blurred into a series of afterimages, and in the blink of an eye, he closed the distance between them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hundreds of icy blades flew at He from every direction, cutting off all escape. But he was unfazed. Tracking the real Chu Zhou? Nah. Smashing everything in sight sounded way more satisfying. He clenched his fist, muscles flexing like coiled steel, and eerie blue energy danced along his arm. Atomic detonation fist, fully charged. With a single punch, the ground trembled. A shockwave of pure atomic force erupted outward, engulfing a 10-meter radius in searing nuclear energy. Chu Zhou was forced to retreat, his mind reeling. This guy didn't even try to find the real body. He just blasted everything with overwhelming power. With Chu Zhou's level of defense, there was no way he could take that hit head-on. Honestly, was there anyone their age who could trade punches with He and walk away? Just look at what happened to Shengguan. But Chu Zhou wasn't the type to back down. If close combat wouldn't work, then he'd wear He down from afar. His bloodline surged, Frostworm awakening. Crystalline dragon scales bloomed across his body. His pupils turned into golden slits, and twin obsidian horns rose from his head. Behind him, a massive frostworm roared into form, its spectral wings stretching wide. His ice pulse erupted. Frozen winds howled across the arena, forming colossal ice spikes that surged into a towering tidal wave of frost, crashing toward Ihi. That's insane. He just summoned an entire mountain of ice out of nowhere. That frostworm bloodline is god tier. He looks amazing. Take down the evil overlord, Ihi. Go get him, ice brother. At that moment, Ihi was completely encased in the heavy ice forged by Chuzhou's bloodline. But Chuzhou didn't relax. He wasn't naive enough to believe the fight was over. His breathing grew heavier, unleashing that level of frostworm power had taken its toll. Suddenly, the crowd gasped. Look, the ice mountain, it's melting. In the next instant, a brilliant pillar of blue energy burst forth from deep within the ice, shooting straight toward Chuzhou. Chuzhou, ever on guard, was still caught off guard by the sudden counterattack. Instinctively, he summoned an ice pillar from the ground to launch himself out of the beam's path. Boom! The atomic beam smashed into the examiner's joint energy shield, sending ripples of force across its surface. The towering ice mountain began to melt rapidly, collapsing in on itself under the searing heat. From within the dissolving glacier, a deep blue figure emerged. Streams of melted ice never even touched his body, evaporated instantly by the blazing heat radiating from him. He had returned, fully awakened in his Godzilla state. Chuzhou exhaled slowly, a bitter edge in his eyes. The gap in their strength was simply overwhelming. He said firmly, take this. My final move. This is my absolute limit in martial arts. I was originally saving it for Lu Qingzhu. In the very next moment, a massive great sword of ice materialized in Chuzhou's hands, a sign that his bloodline power had fully awakened. The blade radiated a chilling aura, infused with a will that cut straight to the soul-cleaving sword intent. The first to react was the mayor of Anqing, his expression just as stunned as when Lu Qingzhu had used a Xianwang technique. Sword intent? At his age? That's unreal. Without hesitation, Chuzhou swung the sword with all his strength. Drip, drip. A few drops of hot blood splattered onto the ground. He had raised his arm just in time to block the strike, but a deep gash cleared down to the bone, ran across it. And yet, the wound shimmered with blue light, the flesh already writhing and beginning to regenerate. Maybe if you had a better sword, you'd have stood a chance. Chuzhou opened his eyes wide, stunned. He looked down at his broken sword and knew he had lost. How much of a chance did I really have? He asked, almost to himself. He smirked. A little better than the chances of a simp actually getting the girl. Chuzhou gave a helpless shrug and raised his hand to the referee. I surrender. Victory in the Anqing finals. He stands as the champion. Let's go, brother E. I knew you were built different. Chuzhou was strong, but next to no contest. The livestream chat exploded. He went from underdog to legend. This is the ultimate dark horse arc. At that moment, Ihi's face flooded every media outlet in the city. Word spread fast. Last year, he was dead last in his class. This year, he crushed the top-ranked student and claimed the championship. Talk about a comeback story. And this year's exam, far more intense than any before. To rise above it all, he might just be the strongest martial champion in Anqing's history, maybe even ever. Outside the stadium, the crowd roared like a tidal wave. Ihi, 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 across the city and the millions watching via livestream. Everyone had witnessed the end of a grueling 3-day war. The champion of Anqing's 24th martial entrance trials had finally emerged. Ihi from Anqing First High. Rumor has it you came from behind, rising through the ranks late. Now that you've claimed the top spot, is there anything you'd like to say? He stepped forward, voice steady. First, I want to thank my teacher. When I was at my lowest, he didn't give up on me. His encouragement gave me the will to fight. Back in front of the live stream, Ihi's homeroom teacher wiped away tears. He felt overwhelmed with guilt. How had he overlooked this monstrous talent until just before the exam? He didn't feel worthy of the praise. And next, I'd like to, suddenly, in the front row of the audience, the school principal started waving wildly at Ihi. He held both hands in the air, flashing a big 2-0 gesture. 2 million. Ihi, promote our school a bit, and I'll give you 2 million in scholarship money. Ihi's eyes instantly lit up like dollar signs. I'd also like to thank my alma mater and our brilliant principal. Without his wise leadership, how could Anqing First High have achieved such greatness? And finally, I want to thank myself, he said with complete sincerity. Without my hard work, relentless dedication, and unmatched intelligence, none of this would have been possible. He said it with a straight face, absolutely no shame. Just then, the familiar system interface popped up, frowny face, congratulations, host. You have earned the title Top Scholar. Reward. 1 random template ability draw unlocked. Wait, Top Scholar is an actual title. He blinked, then grinned. So, the template has an achievement system too? That's a sweet surprise. Meanwhile, in the stadium hallway, a swarm of reporters had already cornered Ihi, cameras and mics closing in from all sides. Ihi, was there a lot of pressure winning this year's championship? How did you manage such rapid growth in just 6 months? Will you be applying to Capital Star University? He raised his hands in surrender, exasperated. Please stop chasing me. I really need to pee. But one sleazy-looking guy shoved a phone in his face, smirking. Quick question. Between Lu Qingzhu and Kai Shaoling, who's prettier? Or are you more into Xingguan? Or maybe Chuzhou? Nope, I'm out. He bolted like a rocket. He had no time for weird fan service interviews. After finally shaking off the media mob, he ducked into the empty basketball court, finally catching his breath. His eyes lit up with excitement. So the template isn't a one-and-done deal. I can unlock more through the system. This is insane. I'm loving it. Just then, a calm voice sounded behind him. Congratulations on becoming the top scholar. He jolted in surprise, spinning around, thinking another reporter had found him. The man took off his hat and smiled. Relax. I'm not with the media. I'm from Capital Star. Let's talk about something a bit more classified, like the gene lock. He froze. Gene lock. He hadn't unlocked any so-called gene lock. All his powers came from monster templates. Could this guy know his secret? Who was he? From what little memory he had of the original host, that term had only ever come up once, from his supposedly ordinary father. The man pulled a file from his bag and said with a smirk, Tell me, aren't you curious? Your father, a regular taxi driver. How would someone like him even know about something like a gene lock? He raised an eyebrow. Wait, could my old man actually be some kind of hidden expert? The man handed him the file. Due to your unique status, Capital Star has authorized the release of a restricted document. He opened it, and his eyes widened as he read. Project Prometheus, once a dominant force in Blue Star's biological gene research. After a classified incident, the institute was blacklisted by multiple nations. Its key researchers went underground, erasing their identities. The gene lock was among their most ambitious experiments. He slowly closed the file, realization hitting him hard. So you guys think my regular OL cab-driving dad was actually a senior researcher at Prometheus? And me? I'm one of their secret experiments. Please don't worry, the man in the trench coat said gently. The government isn't here to threaten you. I'm just here to inform you. After all, as the subject involved, you have the right to know the truth. He clearly feared he might panic and do something reckless. You're now part of a national-level cultivation program. Your safety is our top priority from here on out. He stared at him, deadpan. Bro, I'm probably calmer than you right now. Seriously. Then his face changed in an instant, switching to smug mode. Ugh, fame is such a pain. So much attention, so many questions. Society really is all about status, huh? The man blinked in silence, then turned and walked away without another word. As soon as he left, he rubbed his hands together, eyes sparkling. Finally, he's gone. This exam run was a jackpot. Top university offer, 2 million in scholarship money, another 800K bonus, and most importantly, new template draw, here I come. He wasted no time summoning the system interface and hitting draw. Sure, he knew legendary tier templates like Godzilla were rare, but he couldn't help hoping for another miracle. A swirling black vortex appeared on the screen, filled with monstrous growls and echoing roars, like a cursed vault full of ancient beasts. He stared in awe, slack-jawed. A moment later, the result appeared. D-Class Template. D-Class Template. Colossus type, humanoid, bloodline abilities. Size increase up to 60 meters. High-pressure steam emission. Evolutionary path. Proto-giant hybrid. Compatibility, 1%. E's eyes gleamed brighter by the second. So, template abilities can stack. If I combine the Colossus-type humanoid with the Berserker Emperor Mothra, wouldn't that make me the true king of monsters? Meanwhile, inside a quiet villa, Brother Huolong, are you saying you're turning down all your missions? That's right. Cancel everything on my schedule. He hung up the call. The only sound left in the room was the faint audio from a TV broadcast. Huolong took a deep breath. His index finger began tapping the redwood table rhythmically. Tap, tap, tap. A dent soon formed where his finger struck. His younger brother, Huopeng, had been missing for over half a month. The search team sent in the Mystic Zone returned empty-handed. Not even a corpse, an experienced hunter of forbidden realms. Huolong didn't need confirmation. His brother was dead. Worse, the scene had been cleaned. No trace, no mistake. Still, the rescue team didn't come back empty-handed. At the last known location, they recovered samples, and testing revealed traces of nuclear radiation. Huolong's eyes stayed locked on the TV screen. It was replaying footage from the Anqing Martial Finals. The image froze, unleashing a blinding blue beam of atomic breath. Little brother, he murmured, I told you to stay out of the underground, to quit that life. Why didn't you listen? Before Mom passed, she made me promise I'd look after you. Now I can't even find your body. His eyes closed, weighed down with sorrow and guilt. Then the TV announcer declared, Final winner, Ihi of Anqing First High. Huolong opened his eyes slowly, bloodshot and deadly calm. Ihi, a rare genius, no doubt. Capital Star University will surely come calling. But too bad, they won't get the chance to see you enroll. Today, Ihi was planning to head into a Mystic Zone to test his new theory, combining the Godzilla template with the Colossus-type template in actual combat. But just as he was getting ready, he received an unexpected letter from Chuzhou. The contents read, Ihi, according to the Capital Research Institute, a new Mystic Rift is projected to open today at 3 p.m. in Red Tree Mountain on the outskirts of Anqing. The estimated danger level is C-class that I intend to investigate. Would you like to team up? Chuzhou. Yi's first reaction wasn't about the Mystic Zone. No, he was shocked Chuzhou still sent handwritten letters in 2024. Paired with his swordsman cosplay and archaic way of speaking, he was starting to seriously wonder, is this guy another transmigrator too? By 3 p.m., the once deserted Red Tree Mountain had become packed. Over 1,000 fighters arrived, among them, elite warriors and high-tier organizations. At the base of the mountain, he met up with Chuzhou, who now had a sword hanging from his waist. You've grown stronger. He was surprised at how sharp Chuzhou's senses were. After all, he had used some of his prize money to buy several gene serums, pushing his Colossus template compatibility to 35%. Sure, it was just a D-class monster, but it grew fast and worked fast. Definitely worth it. While waiting for the rift to open, the two chatted casually. So, Chuzhou, what university are you aiming for? Capital Star University. There was something off in Chuzhou's tone when he said it. He noticed but didn't pry. He simply smiled and replied, Guess that makes us future classmates. Just then, the crowd around them erupted. The Mystic Rift is opening. A piercing screech echoed from the rift. The next second, a monstrous bird with 3 twisted heads and pitch-black feathers forced its way halfway out of the portal. This was clearly a high-tier beast. It had muscled its way to the front and become the first creature to emerge from the rift. But unfortunately for it, what waited outside wasn't prey. It was over 1,000 armed warriors, locked and loaded, Kill! The mountains roared with the sound of unified battle cries. No one hesitated. The fighters surged toward the monster like a tidal wave, not caring one bit that it was still awkwardly stuck in the portal. The three-headed bird thrashed in panic, each head flailing as it tried to retreat, but it was stuck. Within seconds, its massive body was trampled and crushed beneath a stampede of blades, boots, and battle cries. As they say. The early bird gets the beatdown. Ecchi and Chuzhou, blending into the crowd, passed through the rift right behind the wave of warriors. On the other side, they were greeted by a jaw-dropping sight. A forest of colossal trees, each over 100 meters tall, towering like skyscrapers piercing the sky. Suddenly, a thick, metallic stench of blood flooded Ecchi's nostrils. He looked ahead. The entrance of the rift had already become a battlefield, with a mini beast tide crashing into the arriving warriors. Screams, roars, and the clash of steel filled the air, merging into a brutal, chaotic symphony of war. He quickly realized the warriors weren't just here to loot the Mystic Zone. They were holding the front line for a reason. According to the Blue Star Defense Act, all licensed martial artists have both the freedom to explore mystic zones and the duty to protect the real world from beast tides. Anyone who ignores that duty and lets a tide slip into the outside world, causing civilian casualties, will be stripped of their warrior status and tried in military court. For a warrior, the greater the power, the heavier the responsibility. Ecchi and Chuzhou joined the front line, pushing back against the oncoming beast tide. Chuzhou activated his bloodline, unleashing waves of icy energy that froze the beast's legs in place, locking down the path ahead. Suddenly, a beast lunged at him from behind. In a split second, he launched his atomic detonation fist, blowing the ambusher into mist and melted flesh. "Watch your back," he said, completely unfazed. Then, almost lazily, he added, "These Mystic Zone beasts? Not a single one can put up a decent fight." Behind him lay a field of smoldering corpses. Chuzhou was stunned. He'd been carefully holding the line, and he had already wiped out an entire section of monsters. The creatures he killed weren't just burned, they were dissolved, as if every cell in their body had been disintegrated from within. That was the terror of atomic radiation, silent, invisible, and absolutely devastating. And now, for the first time in the open battlefield, Ecchi, the walking nuclear disaster zone, could unleash his power freely. Roar! Scree! Beasts howled as they charged at him, only to melt into puddles of gore a few meters away, cooked alive by the sheer heat radiating from his body. On another part of the battlefield, warriors locked in desperate melee turned their heads, only to see that the warriors behind them were already relaxing and wiping sweat. Yo, what the hell? They done already? Did they bring in some high-tier merc? Nope. That's the top scorer from Anqing's entrance exams. The what? Wasn't he just a trainee? How's a kid soloing entire waves of monsters? You didn't watch this year's entrance exam broadcast? Nah. Who wants to watch high schoolers fight? Idiot. That high schooler could mop the floor with 10 of you. As the battle dragged on, exhaustion began to show on the warriors' faces. Then someone shouted, "Drive the beasts toward the top scorer." And just like that, the battlefield adapted. Everyone instinctively pivoted, using Ecchi's nuclear radiation field as a natural kill zone against the monster tide. No one knew how long the fighting had lasted. But then, boom, a signal flare burst in the sky. Eyes that had gone dull with fatigue suddenly lit up. Decapitation confirmed. The alpha beast is down. We did it. The tide is breaking. Monsters are retreating. Don't let up. Finish them off. Chuzhou finally exhaled, relief washing over him. The first wave of Red Tree Mountain's beast tide was over to the 1,000+ warriors who had entered. Only about 800 remained. He strolled over casually, lugging several massive sacks behind him. His chill attitude stood out like a sore thumb amid the blood-soaked survivors. Phew. Hey, Chuzhou, real talk. I'm running out of hands here. How am I supposed to carry all this loot? With a thud, he dropped several bulging sacks of monster cores in front of him. Chuzhou silently handed over a silver black ring. My spatial ring. Use it. Whoa, nice. A space ring? Those go for tens of millions on the market. He eagerly stuffed the bags inside. I knew you were secretly loaded. Wusen's back. Thank the heavens. If he hadn't taken out the elite beast, we'd have all died out there. The crowd parted automatically as a tall, broad-shouldered man strode forward. Righteous energy radiating from him like a wall. He quickly realized. This guy was heading straight for him. Hello there. Anqing's top scholar, the man said with a warm smile. Name's Wu Sun, regional commander of the Silver Wolf Mercenary Corps. I've heard what you did out there today. Outstanding work. Now tell me, would you be interested in joining our corps? It won't interfere with your university plans. In fact, you'll receive tons of benefits, gear access, and support. For someone like you, I'm ready to offer an S-rank member contract on the spot. Wu San's offer immediately drew gasps from the surrounding warriors. The Silver Wolf Corps, a nationally renowned mercenary group, and their regional commander personally recruiting Ihi. That was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Becoming a warrior was an expensive path. Without faction support, few could go far. In an S-rank contract, even elite students from Capital Star University rarely received such treatment. Just then, a dazzling striped tiger stepped out from the crowd. On its back sat a striking woman with a bold, commanding presence. So that's why you rushed ahead? Wu Sun, she teased. Trying to steal the prize before the rest of us showed up? She turned to Ihi. Ihi, how about joining the Chengda Corps instead? We may be smaller than Silver Wolf, but if you join us, I'll personally guarantee you'll receive 15% of our monthly cultivation resources. No strings attached. Gasp! That wasn't an offer. That was basically giving him a stake in the guild. A high schooler. And they were throwing elite-tier contracts at him. He, however, simply smiled and shook his head. Thanks, but for now, I'm not planning to join any corps. The woman chuckled, unfazed. Just as I thought, landing the top scorer was never going to be easy. No worries. Consider this our introduction. If you ever need anything, the Silver Wolf Corps is only a call away. The Chengda Corps, too, she added with a wink. We'll be ready. With the beast tide finally over, the warriors entered the free exploration phase. Chuzhou offered a suggestion. This is a giant forest. The layout's tricky. Let's climb to the canopy and scout the terrain first before heading deeper. He nodded. That was his plan too. He activated his nuclear radiance mode, atomic energy gathering beneath his feet, then blasted upward like a human rocket, shooting straight toward the treetops. Before long, the two stood atop a colossal tree, hundreds of meters tall, overlooking the entire mystic zone. Wait, what is that? He suddenly narrowed his eyes, stunned. Far off, near the foot of a distant mountain range, a group of gigantic humanoid figures was moving slowly. Even from hundreds of kilometers away, their silhouettes were unmistakable. Those things have to be, what, a kilometer tall? He murmured. That's beyond insane. Chuzhou was about to respond, but he spoke first, voice steady and filled with fire. Unimaginable? Nah, we're still young. Give it a few more years, and we might be the ones hunting them. Maybe even uncovering the truth behind this whole mystic zone thing. Chuzhou turned, slightly awestruck. When faced with such overwhelming unknowns, his instinct was fear. But Ihi, his instinct was to conquer. In that moment, Chuzhou understood. He wasn't just stronger in power. He had the spirit of a true warrior. Meanwhile, he himself was practically buzzing with excitement. Just you wait, you walking mountains. One day, all your monster cores will be mine. Suddenly, his life field sensor kicked in, giving him a full read of all living entities across the mystic zone. One spot stood out. To the southeast, a massive lake region, a complete blank. No life signs. Nothing. It was like a dead zone. A void. Now that's suspicious, he muttered, his eyes gleaming. The stranger the waters, the bigger the fish, that's where the real loot is. Without hesitation, he turned to Chuzhou. Let's go. Time to gamble big at the lake. Ihi and Chu Zhou quickly made their way through the giant forest and arrived at the edge of the mysterious lake. To their surprise, 3 people were already there, one of whom was someone Ihi recognized, Rainy. He called out, pleasantly surprised. Well, if it isn't Anqing's little champion, Huang Yuli replied with a teasing smile. Wait, you know our local top scorer? One of her teammates chimed in, grinning. Come on, introduce us already. We heard he was tearing through beast tides like a walking warhead. Rainy, how long have you guys been here? He asked. Not long. We just arrived. 2 of our teammates, good swimmers, went underwater to scout things out. Right as she finished speaking, a figure burst from the water surface. It was one of Rainy's teammates. Jackpot. Guys, we just hit the mother lode. Yu Yang shouted, clearly thrilled. Whoa, slow down. What kind of jackpot? There's a ruin down there. A real one. We're gonna make it big. He nudged Chu Zhou with his elbow. Why is everyone so hyped over ruins? Chu Zhou explained, in mystic zones there are these ancient structures, believed to be remnants of a lost civilization. People call them ruins. They say modern martial arts theories, and even parts of gene tech, were reverse engineered from discoveries made inside these places. Just then, Yu Yang finally noticed the 2 newcomers standing nearby. Wait a second. Who are you 2? Were you eavesdropping on us? The tension spiked until Huang Yuli stepped in quickly. Yu Yang, calm down. These 2 are Ihi and Chu Zhou, top scorer and runner-up from Anqing's martial entrance exam. Their strength is far above average. We should let them join us. Ihi casually clapped a hand on Chu Zhou's shoulder. Relax, man. We're not here to steal your loot. We're here to help you get it. Yu Yang narrowed his eyes. Fine, then how do we split the gains? We're not part of your team, so we'll take a cut based on contribution. We earn it, we keep it. He replied smoothly. Yu Yang was clearly annoyed, but he knew better than to pick a fight with 2 rising stars. He scoffed. All right, you're in, but don't try anything shady, got it? With that settled, Yu Yang led the way, diving into the lake. The others followed one after another. Thanks to their enhanced physical strength and lung capacity, all 6 warriors dove roughly 30 meters deep. There, Yu Yang located a marker he'd left earlier and led the group into a submerged cave tunnel. That passage leads to the ruin, he said. Once they surfaced inside the cave, Yu Yang immediately looked around. Huh? Where's Li Wei? I told him to stand guard right here. Maybe he found something and decided to keep it for himself. One of the teammates muttered, clearly irritated. Yu Yang pulled out his radio and tried calling Li Wei multiple times, but got no response. When you first got here, did either of you check for signs of monster activity? Huang Yuli asked calmly. Nope. Li Wei and I even deployed beast lure charges. Nothing showed up. Not even a single strand of fur. Li Wei's missing. Are we really sure we should keep going? One teammate asked hesitantly. After a brief silence, Yu Yang gritted his teeth and barked out. We have to explore it. Riches and glory are right in front of you. If you're too scared to reach for them, you'll be stuck at the bottom forever. Anyone afraid of dying can leave now. But if you want to get rich, follow me. No one moved. Even the teammate who had just expressed doubt stayed silent, that Yu Yang was right. If there was really a ruin ahead, no one was willing to watch someone else walk off with the treasure. All right then, he said. Let's move. With a heavy silence hanging in the air, Yu Yang led the way, and the group stayed on high alert. Every step deeper into the unknown. He switched on a UV flashlight, illuminating the path ahead on the ground, glowing faintly, were the symbols he and Li Wei had marked earlier. The team pushed forward, the tunnel narrowed and narrowed, until only one person could pass at a time. He, walking in the cramped space, narrowed his eyes slightly. He glanced back at Chu Zhou. Their eyes met, and they communicated in silent lip sync. Something's off. Chu Zhou, yeah. The timing doesn't add up. Rainy said they got to the lake only 10 minutes ago. Yet these 2 managed to find this cave, swim through the lake, discover a hidden tunnel, and navigate all the way to a ruined entrance? That's not scouting, that's straight up wall hack. Chu Zhou whispered under his breath. Pretty clear we're being played. Want to warn your friend and get out of here. But Ihi smirked, eyes gleaming. Relax that I've got a trump card. Soon, the group arrived in a massive underground cavern, easily the size of a football field. Dark green vines covered every inch of the floor, walls, and ceiling. But what made their blood run cold were the things entangled in the vines. Dim, lifeless monster cores and piles of ash where creatures had been reduced to dust. And no wonder the lake had been so eerily quiet. Something down here had already devoured every other predator. Huang Yuli's expression darkened instantly. Her voice was cold. Yu Yang, where's the ruin you promised? One of her teammates let out a piercing scream, pointing to the far side of the cavern. There, a mummified corpse suspended in the air, pierced clean through by thick vines. Judging by the clothing, it was Li Wei. Huang Yuli and another woman stumbled back, pale and horrified. Yu Yang, meanwhile, collapsed to his knees, clutching his head and muttering hysterically. The ruin. Where is it? It was supposed to be here. Li Wei's dead. How'd he die? The vines, the vines. Suddenly, clarity flickered in his eyes. His voice broke into a desperate shout. I think the vines got to me too. Run. Splat. His head exploded like a firecracker, sending blood and bone flying. From the shredded remains, several vines slithered out, twisting like demonic tentacles. Yu Yang! Huang Yuli screamed, her voice cracking with disbelief and horror. In that instant, He acted, unleashing a devastating atomic breath straight at the threat. Boom! A blinding blue energy beam exploded forward, incinerating the upper half of Yu Yang's body along with the writhing vines that had infested him. Yi's eyes were cold, his tone even colder. I didn't expect a monster with this level of intelligence. It killed 2 fighters, took over one of their minds, then used his body as bait to lure in more victims. That's not hunting. That's strategic ambush, which means we're already deep inside its feeding ground. Crack. Crash. Behind them, massive stones and thick vines suddenly collapsed across the only exit, sealing them in completely. Chuzhou's gaze locked on the moving vines. I've read about this species. It's a tier 2 royal class monster, a ghost vine demon. Huang Yuli's breath hitched. Royal class? Those things aren't measured by normal tiers. We're all tier 1 at best. We can't handle that kind of power. He just cracked a wide grin, his white teeth flashing. Don't care what tier it is. Watch me blow it to pieces. Just as he was about to activate his Titan form, boom! The collapsed tunnel behind them erupted open from the other side. A figure emerged, cloaked in black, body shrouded in raging blood energy that twisted the very air. A trail of crimson smoke billowed behind him like a battlefield banner. I've come to kill you. Someone in the group gasped. That's Blood Cheese Smoke. He's a stage 8 martial artist.